So welcome, Kimberly. I have Kimberly on the call with me today. We're going to talk about the Kindness at Work conference that's coming up at the end of the January here. And I just asked a couple of my speakers if they'd be willing to come on a call with me and just discuss the issues about kindness, or even if it has a place in the workplace. So we were just talking pre the call, and Kimberly was just sharing some of the stories that she had about kindness and does it really exist and is it really worth it? So anyway, so Kimberly, welcome to do the call, and thank you so much for joining me. I know you're a very busy lady, and so thank you for carving out a little bit of time for me today. So tell us a little bit, maybe just share a little bit what you just did before we got on the call.
What I did before I got on the call, well, of course, I got my coffee
Yep.
and try to wake up and try to look like I've been awake for a while. Uh, it's a whole new year and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think we all are ready to go for sure. Can't
Yeah,
wait to. I actually can feel the energy shift. It's just a
yeah.
lot lighter and it's like, yes, let's get at it, kind of thing. So, yeah. So, what's your viewpoint? I know your Kimberly is going to speak at the conference. Kimberly, what are some of the things that you would like to relay or you hope to relay? Because I was saying that maybe the conference is really for skeptics. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You just reminded me that way back when I'm a physicist by
right?
education. I have a master's in physics and I have a bachelor's in chemistry and physics. And I worked in Hewlett Packard for 10 years in 7 different engineering jobs and engineering management jobs doing,
Mm-hmm.
product development, program management, and hardware, software, firmware, all kinds of complicated vacuum systems and high pressures and gases and liquids. And, people like me, we didn't get any education about emotional intelligence or communication skills or human skills going through all those
Mm-hmm.
years of college. So I actually disparaged kindness openly. I, I remember whenever one person came to my office and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I've been kind of grouchy, but I'm trying to quit smoking." And I said, "Start smoking again and quit after the project's over." Literally, one guy came in and told me that, hey, if he kept working so many long hours on the project we were doing, that his girlfriend would break up with him. And I said, "You can get another girlfriend when the project's over." I truly didn't understand how hurtful some of these things were, and even that I would say or do.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was only years later when I learned, oh my gosh, all these projects, the only time we failed for technology was once when some chip had a problem in the metal layer that couldn't be fixed. Everything else was issues about human beings.
Right. Right. It's amazing, eh?
It's amazing. I didn't know. So I felt like I was being used like an assassin, right? When
Right.
people needed some really hard, ugly, messy job done, they'd bring me in, but they didn't want to be seen dining with me.
Right. Right.
So I was like a hitman. And I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So on my last real job before I started my consulting practice in 2001, I decided I'm not doing that. I'm going to have the relationships outlast the job. And I wasn't going to sacrifice relationships for results. I was going to look for some balance between relationships and results, and come
Hmm.
to find out you get results through relationships, which is
Right.
not to say you don't hold people accountable. It's just that the relationships matter.
Right. Right. Yeah, obviously. I mean, to me, how can you do a job if you don't get along with people or you can't or there is a barrier of some sort, right?
Right
So,
on.
right, right. So tell me a little bit more about that story you said about you wrote an article about kindness and you realized then that how important kindness was.
Yeah, back in 2006, I was writing for about 10 years. Every couple of months, I wrote an article for Project Connections. It's no
Mm-hmm.
longer a live website, but I really felt that, oh my gosh, kindness is an important business strategy. It's
Mm-hmm.
not weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Kindness and weakness are different, and it doesn't mean you don't have standards, and it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you don't hold people accountable. But
Right.
so I'd like to read a little bit from the article that I started
Sure.
out.
Sure.
Ever since the first astronauts showed us pictures of our tiny planet suspended against the backdrop of a vast black universe, the world has been shrinking. While the physical size has remained the same, the practical distance between us has dwindled to almost nothing. Our lives are now intricately interwoven with people around the globe. I don't know if the world is flat, but it sure feels tiny. and, and that was really, it hit me that
Yeah.
we are all connected and we need to dissolve the illusion of separation between us. And I think I got part of that insight because I started working with people from different countries all over the world, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we all have the same problems,
Right. Right.
and I would ask people in the workshop, okay, who's married to someone from your same country, your same culture? Many people raised their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who has ever had a disagreement, argument, or fight with that person? Everybody raised their hand, right? It's like, it's not because of our cultural differences that we have problems. It's because you're a human being and I'm a human being. And
Right.
human beings have to struggle through certain things in our lives.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do now and how you help people in this humanness, being in this humanness bubble.
Yeah, well, I started off really focusing on product development, program management, lifecycle. Like I said, hardware,
Yeah.
software, firmware, complicated systems, and then come to realize the most complicated piece of the system is the human.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was lucky enough to get connected to people in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you realize this, but Japan's economy has been flat for many years and the population is shrinking.
Okay.
So if you are a Japanese company who wants to increase your revenue, you
Mm-hmm.
have to grow outside of Japan.
Right.
And because you don't have a whole bunch of people, you can't afford to send Japanese people all over the world like you used to, right? So
Right.
you have to hire crazy non-Japanese people like me and learn to work with us.
Right.
So I started going to Japan pretty much every month around 2007, working with, I could get 20 to 50 people in the same room from 10 to 15 different countries who all worked for the same Japanese company and teach them leadership, team
Mm-hmm.
effectiveness, communication skills, not English, but global English, like this.
Right.
I don't talk like this at home. I'm doing it so you understand me easier. Exciting. And so we would take on impossible projects. So like my favorite program model was we do 15 days of workshops, Marilyn.
Yeah.
15 days over 6
Wow.
months. We would meet, 5 days in Frankfurt in July, 5 days in Houston in October, and 5 days in Tokyo in January. And over the course of 6 months, these people would put together some impossible projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the last day, they present to their executives at headquarters. And I kept track of this. We did this one program for one company 18 times with 350 graduates out of their 10,000 people that worked for their company. And we had 77 impossible projects. As of my last count, over 30 of those projects have happened to some extent over a
Wow.
12-year period. Okay, 12
Yeah.
years. But and what I really was amazed by is we come to these programs the first day and the Americans are like, oh, we're here just for the Japanese, right? To help them. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, sure. You don't need to. The Japanese are like, kind of quiet. And the Germans are going like, what? But by the end, this one time I remember, here's the German guy, the Japanese guy, the Chinese guy, and the American guy all standing arm in arm with their arms around each other in front of their executives, because of course they were all kind of intimidated and
Right.
scared to do this with executives. And they're all like their brothers from another mother. And I couldn't believe the transformation when you get to know people at a level of human being to human being. They share the same hopes, fears, disappointments, fear of failure, and they came to love and support each other. It was truly transformational for me.
Awesome. Awesome. I can just sort of sense um, the inspiration and the so being so proud of yourself, Kimberly, being in that room and seeing all these people come together because of you, you know?
I felt like I'm a catalyst. I'm a container. I'm holding the space for
Right,
their greatness. And that's what I tell them on the first day of these programs, which are, by the way, would still be going on except for COVID last year.
right,
And we had to cancel the 19th program for this one company. But I tell them, what you create together in this room is going to determine the quality of this experience. And
right.
it's not about me. I can't force it. I don't try to teach them anything. It's a learning laboratory, or sometimes we call work shock therapy.
Right, right. Yeah,
Because
no, I've certainly taken one of your programs, a workshop therapy, and it's really like really amazing. Like when you start out, you're all kind of scared looking around, and then all of a sudden, at the end, we're all like best buddies, kind of thing. So
yeah,
I know that's a very short clip, but that's just one little class, right? Versus
yeah.
what you're doing is ongoing, progressive, um, sharing and implementing, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, we do some things like a 1 day workshop or 3 day workshop. In fact, we just virtualized some of our shorter programs. We did a total of a 1 day workshop over 5 weeks for one of the biggest companies in Japan. We did
hmm
a 3 day workshop, 6 4-hour sessions over 5 weeks for the second biggest company in Japan. And it actually works pretty well
hmm
if you have good internet connection and everybody has
yeah.
their camera working. And you can use breakout rooms, and you can have
Yeah.
shared documents. But I really like the deeper, more meaningful work. And this one company that I work with, they actually have hired me with different divisions to do post-merger integration and strategic alignment sessions and things like that. So I'm pretty well integrated to their business. But I mean, a 1 day workshop can be world changing if
Right,
it opens people's eyes to this illusion of separation between
right.
us.
Right, right. Absolutely. So I know that you're going to do one of your workshops
Yeah,
at the conference. So maybe do you want to just share just a little bit what you're going to be offering or how it's going
sure.
to look like?
I think that, what we're going to be talking about at the conference is feedback. So, one of the big companies in Japan that we worked with, they contacted me a few years ago and they said, we really need to know how to give and receive feedback effectively,
Right.
because they had, over 20% of their people were quitting every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a harsh environment. Now, this, in general, in Japan, the attitude is if you're doing things right, you hear nothing from your boss. If you're doing things badly,
Right.
you get the feedback, of how to
Right.
improve. And one of my friends, he was American guy working for a Japanese guy. I guess the Japanese guy was over here on an expat assignment. And after 6 months, he hadn't gotten any feedback from his manager. And he goes up to him. And of course, his manager is checking email. He goes up to him and says, "So I've been working for you for 6 months and I haven't gotten any feedback.
Mm-hmm.
How am I doing?" And the guy stops typing and goes, "Good." And so I'm like, okay, that's not useful.
Yeah.
Now, I want to just point out that we're going to be clearly distinguishing feedback from criticism.
Right.
It's a pity that people don't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Criticism is you change because I want you to change.
Right.
Feedback is, you want to achieve some goal and you can't do it without advice and help. I'll give you advice and help.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on me understanding what that person wants and what that person is committed to more than
Right.
being comfortable.
Right.
Because trust me, what is it? Only a small percentage of human beings can hear any kind of feedback, however nicely it's offered, without having some negative thing triggered in their brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be somewhat uncomfortable. So there has to be something we care about more than our comfort.
Right. Right. Right.
So this is what we're going to do in this learning lab or work shock therapy, the difference between criticism and feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's a language of feedback, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, our brains are like voting machines. It's good, it's bad, it's right, it's wrong. I like it or don't like it. I agree or disagree. That is not the language that we use in feedback.
Right.
The
Right.
language is focusing on what's working. We should do
Mm-hmm.
more of that. Hey,
Yeah.
what's not working? Maybe we should change it. What's
Right.
missing? Maybe we should add it. I mean, if you don't tell people what's working, they might stop doing it.
Right.
And and then the really powerful thing that I just discovered, maybe it was a little more than a year or two ago, is a really powerful approach to giving appreciation
Hmm.
that gets to the heart of who people are and how they show up in the world.
Hmm.
Maybe I can
Hmm.
give a little example of that.
Sure.
This is this is this is appreciation that really impacts people. I think it's from a book. I'll have to find the book it's from. Anyhow, it's talked about what the person did,
Hmm.
how they did it, why they did it, and who they are. So, for example, I would say, Mary Lynn, I really appreciate you putting together this kindness conference. And you have gone all out to recruit a team to get the details right, to prepare us and spread the word, and to set some very ambitious goals for gathering people together. So impressive. And I know it's because you really feel the importance of kindness to our world, especially in a time of such challenge, such struggle like the COVID 2020. What a year. And don't we all need a dose of kindness now?
Right.
And I happen to be incredibly impressed and inspired by that because I know that's who you are at your core, through and through, completely and authentically. So, Mary Lynn, for all of that, I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you for that big appreciation. Wow. Yeah, I was kind of laughing inside about when you're talking about how important kindness is. I think it is absolutely kindness. Actually, I was just sharing a story. We had to share a story about ourselves, and I shared my story about how it got started with kindness. And a couple of people say I don't do kindness, and I'm going like, well, why not? As well, I don't want it to control me. And I was like, wow. But I really appreciate your appreciation of me, Kimberly. I so appreciate you, and if I can say, I appreciate you and your energy, your forethought, and your inspiration. You keep inspiring me to do so much more and greater things. I mean, you may not think that, but behind the scenes, I'm going, wow, if she could do that, I really do look up to you for a lot of things, and I so
Oh, the
appreciate for
pressure.
that. No, you don't have to do anything, but it's just who you are, and that's how you show up in this world, right?
Oh,
You
thank
don't have
you.
to do anything. I know you hold space for many people, and so I just appreciate that. That's what you do, you know.
It's truly my pleasure. And I just want to tell you that having worked with this one company on this feedback
Yeah.
workshop, this is the same company that's one of the biggest companies in Japan that was losing 20% of their people every year.
Right.
We've worked with them over the past 6 years with various kinds of programs. And now the people who've graduated from our, I don't know, we did maybe 17 programs.
Right.
We have like 250 graduates. Only 13 of them have quit in 6 years.
Wow.
And no, wait for it, because they might have sent me people unlikely to quit. But of the people who report to our managers who graduated from our 3-day program,
Mm-hmm.
only 12% are quitting instead of 22%. So we're
Wow.
saving
Great
them $5 million,
results.
in
Yeah.
recruiting and retraining fees.
Right. Yeah.
So
And
if
yeah. So you have great results from your programs, and I know that you thread in some kindness in that, weave it in,
we
because
never
it is.
call it that, we never call it that with engineers.
No, no,
You
but
know
what
what we
I'm
call
just
it?
what.
We call it how not to be a boss hole. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pity that the word kindness is so associated with weakness,
Yeah.
because kindness is really compassion and empathy and high emotional intelligence, which has been proven by research to be really crucial to being an effective executive.
Right. Right. No, I totally get it. So it's just like, how do you reach those skeptics or the people that don't understand how it's just a shame, really, that people just don't get it. But
Well, I think you got to wait until they're in enough pain
Yeah.
so that they want the painkiller, and you
Yeah.
have to package it in some way that they can take a little bite-sized taste of the appetizer
Yeah.
and then gradually, and by the way, when they start to see that there's no downside, you make more money, you get
Yeah.
higher revenues, more profits, it costs you less, there's fewer safety incidents, and it's called employee engagement.
Right.
It's not, it's not only a function of kindness. There are other things that are
Right.
crucial. But if you
Right.
don't have a trusting relationship, the lack of trusting relationships is the number one cause of failure in teams globally. I can send you the data. I'm a scientist. And if you can't build trust, then you can't have a team.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's not just the words that we use, it's the actions that we use. And
Oh, yeah.
if you're not stopping to think about, do I really need to say this now? Is this even kind, or is it necessary for me to say these words? Can I stop and think about what I'm going to say to that person and say, and start with some, like you were saying earlier, about how I want you to behave, not what, so I can stay comfortable and you can be the problem person, right? So,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, it is all about knowing what that other person wants and helping them achieve it. And if they
right,
don't want the same thing that you want, then there's a goal alignment issue there. But
right.
I'll give you a perfect example of when feedback is not useful. You have
Okay.
a rock and you're giving this rock feedback on how to swim. It's like, no, it's if you're the manager who put that rock in the job of a swimmer, it's bad on you. And all the feedback in the world is not going to change that. You have a fish and you're trying to coach this fish how to climb a tree, forget it. All
Yeah,
right. So there are just certain situations where feedback is not appropriate because the goal is completely inappropriate to the human being that you're talking about.
right, 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 right. I
Not
think
to
we,
discourage people. I don't discourage a fish if it wants has a dream to climb a tree, fine. But it's going to need help. You're going to have to put it on a helicopter or something.
yeah, yeah. I love your energy, and I love the way that you are so passionate about what you're doing and why you want to do it. So I think that's a big thing. So why
I
do you want,
say, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, ask a question about why do you want to be in the speak at the conference? Like, why? I know why I have you in there, but why do you want to do
Well,
it?
I am a systems thinker. A lot of physicists, think about big systems and complex stuff working together. And I've looked at the world and I'm going, over 190 countries, governments sure as heck aren't going to solve our problems. But I work with some companies that have do business in 110 countries. And those people, when they all get in the same room together, they don't have a problem with each other.
Right.
So what I want to do is I want to connect people across borders and boundaries of every kind to create a human connection that is stronger than any government and much more effective. And so that when they take that into their workplace or into
Hmm.
their lives in general, they will see the connection among us and it will dissolve the illusion of separation that has been pushed, especially in this last year. This illusion that somehow we're polarized and that there's two different kinds of us. It's like, no, we're one and
Yeah.
we're connected. And I worked with people in the last couple of months from Pakistan and Bangladesh, and we had a lot in common. And I think that we need to discover that
Right.
what we share, and we need to invite close, loving relationships in every aspect of our lives if we're going to move together on this planet.
Hmm.
It's a survival thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I totally get that.
If I can do some little tiny thing, make a little tiny contribution into this vast ocean of kindness and future possibilities, I'm happy to do it. And this conference is one way I can do that.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal, is to spread it out a little bit more. A few more people say, "Oh, that was really good." I really
Yes.
enjoyed that, and so I think, and also not just enjoy it, but they actually implement it, where
Oh,
they take
please.
action at some aspect in their life, right?
Well, that's why it will not be a lecture. It will be workshop therapy. If you read a book about how to lose weight, eat less, exercise more. Hey, everybody knows that. But if you
Right.
just go to the gym and jump on that bicycle and ride, then you're going to start making progress. So this is going to be the gym the workout, right? We're
Yeah.
not going to talk about it. We're going to do it so that when you leave, you can do it by yourself too.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that's what more people need is the action. The
Oh,
missing piece is the action, the implementation.
if you just give a lecture, when people leave, they forget 50% immediately, and within 2 months, they forget 80%.
Right.
But if you engage them in a highly interactive kind of what's called adult learning theory,
Right.
then it sticks. And then if they have a thinking partner to follow up and practice and someone to hold them accountable, then it's dramatically more chances of success. Hey, if you just write down a goal, it goes from 10% chance of success to 40% chance. Who
Right.
can write? I think we can all write.
Yeah, let the universe work with us, and so we can get it on. Get it on.
Yeah, thank you so much for creating this, and I'm looking forward to being part of it and
Yeah.
experiencing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I learned
Exciting!
exciting. I learned so
Wait,
much from other people.
I got my exciting, my little workshop tools with me.
Oh, I forgot I got my glasses last night. I don't know
Oh, you
where they
got to
went.
get the glasses. I've got so many. I've got this one here. It's like, yeah, thumbs up. More fun coming.
Yeah, more fun is on the way.
Hey, if the funny thing is when you're having fun, you're actually more creative and engaged. And so, I tell people I don't like to have fun, but we have to because it's been proven you get better results.
Yeah. Kimberly, not have fun? Come on.
Oh,
Well,
thank you so
thank you
much.
so much, Kimberly, for coming on the call today with me, and so appreciate you. Anyway, we'll be chatting with you very soon. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it.
My
So,
pleasure. Thank you, Mary Lynn.
okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.